On this episode of ResiWeek, Vox officially acquires Onkyo, CEDIA Expo's Launchpad, and Amazon Fire TV TVs. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is ResiWeek, episode 293, Fire TV TVs.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by
Just Add Power, the global leader in video over IP solutions with systems that give you easy installation, unmatched scalability, and outstanding performance.
Welcome to this episode of ResiWeek. This is your weekly roundup of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott for AVNation.tv, and this week I'm pleased to be joined by two of my good friends. First, we have Mr. Jason Knott. He is the Chief Content Officer at CE Pro. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing great, man, and I apologize to everybody. I am a little under the weather, but it's just a sinus thing.
It's just sinus. Don't go crazy. It's just
exactly.
Sinuses. Calm down.
You don't have to put a mask on to listen to me.
Nope. Oh, if I had one, I'd put one on right now, but I don't have one kicking around. Then we have Mr. Giles Sutton. He is the co-CEO at CEDIA. How you doing, Giles?
I'm doing really well, thanks, Matt. It's great to see you again.
Good to see you all. Yeah, I didn't get to see anybody in person a week and a half ago because, well, Canada. Yeah. All right, gentlemen, let's kick this off with a story that comes to us, technically Biden, but, you know, that's a different thing. Story that comes to us from CE Pro. Vox and Sharp complete the acquisition of Onkyo and Integra. It's the joint venture of Premium Audio Company. They'll own 75% of Onkyo and Integra and manage the product development, sales, and distribution of those products in that corporation, the Premium Audio Company, that now includes Clips, Jamo, Mirage, ProMedia, Magnet, Helco, Mac Audio, Onkyo, Pioneer Elite, Integra, Teak, and Esoteric. So there are some good brands in there. Jason, let me start with you on this. We covered this when this was announced. We were impressed and curious about where they were going to take this, what Vox was going to do with this, and keep in mind Sharp is a part of this game as well. Where do you see this moving forward? Is this going to be a major influx of talent or money or desire to make these brands kind of a little bit bigger than they've been the last couple of years?
Well, there's a couple of things that struck me out of this. One is that it's interesting to me that I think 10 years ago, pre-Sonos, the industry probably would have been alarmed to have a custom brand like Integra being purchased by a company on the consumer electronics side that's going with a direct-to-consumer, that has a sister company that's direct-to-consumer. Now, nobody even blinks an eye about it. You know, Integra has a 35% market share in the CE Pro 100 in the receiver category, so it's still a pretty strong brand. I think it needs some love, so I think it's a positive thing from that standpoint. We know from Vox being a public company, that kind of the second thing that I take from this is that Clips is doing very, very well. So the Clips, the numbers that they've been producing out of, I can't remember what they call that specific division, has been super strong. So Clips, whether it's on the headphone side or it's just on the floor standing speaker side, direct to consumer, as well as being a custom integration brand, is doing very well. So I think that'll give it a boost, Integra boost, as a sister, maybe packaged brand for these people who are buying the Clips speakers. And then the third thing I think is kind of interesting out of this is just the relationship, seeing that relationship with Sharp, kind of the two manufacturers combining together to create this joint venture. At CEDIA Expo last week, it was interesting to see the kind of the joint venture announcement. I'll call it a joint venture announcement that Origin Acoustics has announced that they're going to be distributing the Amina in-wall invisible speaker brand, not an in-wall, an invisible speaker brand out of the UK, jointly with the distributor LK Stockroom, who already had the exclusive distribution rights for that brand. So I love how you see some of these manufacturers getting really creative in terms of trying to expand the market with these partnerships.
Very good, Jason. Thank you. Giles, when you see this, something that Jason said that caught me was, Integra's got 34% of that CE Pro survey. They're not necessarily considered, and definitely Onkyo isn't. They're not always up there with the Denon Marantz and the Sonys and the Yamahas. Does this give them the influx needed to potentially become? And again, I'm not trying to say they're not a top tier brand, but if you ask someone who's a Yamaha dealer or a D&M dealer if they'll take an Integra, usually it's not a positive response.
Well, I mean, I think it's amazing, isn't it? When we look at every month, there's almost another acquisition or another partnership that's happening within the channel. They had a very interesting strategy with the market. Obviously, they had the Onkyo brand that was very much a consumer brand that you could find on the internet, and they had the Integra brand that was really just CI channel only. And I felt that actually the positioning, the way that actually resonated very well with the market. Certainly, when I was an integrator in the UK, Integra was a very strong brand over there, and it sort of set an example as to how dealers can still have price protection over certain products, but yeah, it seems that they've actually struggled a little bit recently to sort of balance those things. I don't think Onkyo is as widely known on a consumer side, I think, as Denon and Marantz, and that's always been one of the challenges with the industry, is having consumer awareness, so you actually have the consumer sales, direct to consumer sales versus the channel sales as well. But I think being part of Vox is extremely exciting. I mean, the brands that they have there are extremely well respected performance audio brands. So I think it will do a lot for the product. And hopefully, certainly from a sound standpoint, we'll start to see some of maybe these brands being integrated into some of these receivers. It would be interesting to see how it develops.
Yeah, that's very good. One of the side notes to this that we just wanted to touch on, because we're talking acquisitions, is Nortec Control that had been owned by Melrose has been divested for $285 million. We don't know who the purchaser or the acquirer is at this point. There's been a lot of speculations if you're online, but we don't know who that is because, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems that they're a public company, and as such, that's got to go through all the regulatory things before that can go public.
Yeah, I confirmed with Nortec that the purchase did happen, but there are regulatory issues that needed to be worked through, and they're prevented from saying who it is.
Yes.
So you got to make the assumption that it's some sort of public company, but they didn't specifically say it was a public company, just so you know.
Well, if there's federal regulators, I'm gonna
yeah,
I'm gonna put two and two together.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to watch that. We'll talk about that a little bit more. What's interesting in that is Melrose purchased Nortec for $2.8 billion back in 2016. They spun off Braun and Newtone to Madison Industries for $3.6 billion, but again they sold the rest of Nortec Control, which is essentially 2-gig Alon Speakercraft Linear, Panamax Furman, and Proficient for, as we said, $285. So that'll be interesting to watch. So when we know more, we'll tell you more. Hey, thanks for watching the first segment of this week's episode. To catch the entire show, please click the link below or visit avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.